Up, boys? Back again. This time with the weapon. Tier list analysis. Left side, like last time, is the current tier list. Right side is the old. And this time, kind of unlike the last time, I'm going to do more of just like breaking down what's strong and why they're actually placed there. So, Spear, I think, at least in my opinion, this is all opinion, obviously, I do think Spear doesn't have any weaknesses. I think it kills incredibly strong with Sair and early, honestly. It has a bunch of free damage with D-Light. You can get way too extended strings for no reason with D-Light, Sair. And honestly, I'm not even sure if there's any single weapon that can actually consistently beat Spear. I think Spear either wins or goes even against every weapon, and that's why it's SS. Guns are really good. I think one of their weaknesses is they don't have that much kill pressure other than D-Light recovery, which isn't actually that consistent. Now, if you hit D-Light, it is, but D-Light is very limited in the area that it can cover, comparing, at least, to Spear, which has D-Light and Sidelight, which both lead to very early and very consistent kills. Other than that, guns have... Oh, actually, let's rewind to Spear. Spear is also really good on the edge, and guns, comparatively, aren't really that good on the edge. Guns have a very good recovering game with Nair and recovery, but so does Spear. Spear recovery is really underrated, honestly, and Spear Nair is pretty safe against both dares and ground pounds coming from above you. Guns, however, rack up damage very quickly. That's why they're the second highest rated weapon. And overall, I think guns are pretty good against every weapon, other than maybe guitars and gauntlets, and then obviously Spear. Sword is weird. Sword is so consistent that it's kind of hard to rate it not in the top 5 or even top 3 weapons. It has consistent kill options and consistent neutral game. Sword Nair is what really is carrying it to this spot on the tier list right now. I think Sword Nair might be the best move in the game. And honestly, other than that, there's nothing that Sword really excels at. It's just really solid at everything else. Really good edge guard game, really good in neutral like I talked about earlier, really good kill potential, stuff like that. Scythe, actually comparing it to the 324 tier list, you can see that it was rated first. Now, Scythe actually had no changes between 324 and 327, but I think I was overreacting when I made the 324 tier list. And I don't think Scythe is really that good. I think Scythe does its job, but it doesn't really excel in every single area like Spear, like guns, like Sword. One really strong point about Scythe, though, is that its edge guard game is unmatched, honestly. Excuse me while I drink water. I think Scythe edgeguard game is probably the best edgeguard game out of every weapon. But other than that, Scythe is okay in neutral, doesn't really have many options that you can open up with. It's good at zone control, but no consistent kill combo or even like just move that you can fish for. Now, moving on to middle tier, we got bow, guitars, and gauntlets. I do think bow has potential, but is kind of like Scythe in how it's really strong in the edgeguard game. But I don't think bow does anything better than Scythe. I feel like bow is kind of just like a worse version of Scythe in a way. Bow only is better than Scythe when it's floating down because it's much safer to go for a move when recovering. In contrast, Scythe only really has Dare, which is extremely punishable when you're floating towards the ground, but bow has Dare and Sare, which are both pretty safe and not easy to punish. But like I said earlier, bow has incredible edgeguard game, ground pound kills super early. Sare and Dare cover all the other options. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely better than Lance, Cannon, Axe, and Hammer. And it actually does beat those weapons in neutral game. But I don't think it has really even a chance. Maybe it has a little chance, but I don't think it has. It's definitely unfavorable for guns, or for bow, into spear, guns, sword, and scythe. Guitars I underrated on this tier list. Guitars should be either before or after guns. They control space very well. The only thing guitars don't have is kill options. And you can, to an extent, completely avert that by banning to stages which have low ceilings. But what's really holding them back from being SS tier is just lack of confirmed kills. They're similar to guns in how they rack up damage pretty well. It's definitely less than guns. But where guns really falter on the edgeguard game, guitars, that is one of their key points and one of the most important aspects to guitar gameplay, honestly. So yeah, that's why I think guitars, I definitely underrated them here. Maybe not even behind guns, but I definitely think they should be S+. Gauntlets are kind of like guitars light currently, because I do think gauntlets have the potential, and like the potential to become very strong and maybe even the highest tier of weapons, because they have so much fluidity to their combos and strings and so many options out of all of them. But honestly, it's hard for me to rate them because there's not a single gauntlet player right now at the highest level that I feel is pushing gauntlets to the highest. Not even to the highest, but even pushing them at all. I don't think anybody's really developing the weapon. And for that reason, I have to put them to S, because we haven't really seen that level of gauntlets that I do think is possible in the highest level of gameplay yet. Alright. The aerial movement weapons, Lance and Canon. Lance is okay. I'll give it that. But it's only okay. That sidelight nair, which is good, but it is so weak off stage that single glaring weakness, I think, will always inhibit Lance from really reaching the next level of weapons. And you can see that on the right too. Lance was the worst weapon in the game in patch 3.24. The only thing that brought Lance to viability in competitive play was complete imbalance. It got a 50 damage 3-hit true combo that killed you at like 200 HP. And that is strictly unbalanced. And honestly, without something that's just strictly unbalanced, I don't think Lance will ever excel in competitive play. And for Canon, it's actually the other way around. I think Canon has crazy potential. It has all the stops when it comes to combo potential, and edge guard game, and neutral game given the right tools. But it is really in a weak spot right now, and not only that, nobody is developing the weapon similar to Gauntlets. And yeah, I think Canon might be maybe even like a top 6, top 5 kind of weapon, but don't really have the data right now to make that kind of assumption. A+, got hammer and axe. Hammer, I think, is good into certain weapons, but hammer and axe both, since they're kind of like the heavy archetype, are both incredibly weak to fast-hitting weapons, which are the meta right now. Spear, guns, sword, scythe, and guitars all destroy both axe and hammer. And that's why they're so low. I think they have some things going for them, but honestly the heavy archetype in Brawlhalla is slowly fading away and becoming just not viable in competitive play. I've said this multiple times. I think I think players who lose to Axe are not competitive players. I don't think they're professional players. I think Axe is awful competitive wise. I don't think it has anything going for it. Yeah, mostly that. Like, it does. The only thing that they excel at is reactable moves that kill. So they do a lot of damage, but every move is reactable, and for that reason, I just don't see them being viable in competitive play. And that's about it for the weapon tier list. Explanation. Spear is so solid right now if you're looking for a legend to pick up, or even just a side weapon to pick up. Start playing Spear, start playing Sword, start playing Guitars. They're all super solid right now. Pretty simple to learn. Watch Brawl League Masters. Watch DreamHack Valencia, which is probably going on right now if you're watching this on YouTube. Twitch.tv/DreamHack FGC. And yeah, other than that, I mean, there's not much. If you like, this is more of like a complimentary video to yesterday's video, where I go more in depth about the weapons. But yeah, if you want to learn more about individual legends, check out that video. But otherwise, thank you boys for watching, and peace out.